Hello fellow egoists! Today I'll be analyzing chapter 232 in depth and with a bird's eye view of the field. We'll first do a short overview of the chapter while highlighting certain key details. After that we'll be analyzing the animation itself to try and explain the move of certain people such as why Lorenzo appeared where he was. And finally we'll be looking at the details of the chapter in a broader way. Though enough said, let's head straight into it. The chapter first starts with a kickoff as Barrow immediately presses Kaiser. To evade this pressure, Kaiser passes to Ness, who then goes on an insane dribbling spree, getting past Sendo and Drago with an incredible technique, and then passes to Kaiser. Kaiser immediately shifts into higher gear, switching to using Metavision and nutmegging Rico to get into the attacking third in a solo rampage, without using Grim. Nico comes to press him, but Kaiser, thanks to his great dribbling and hand placement on Nico's shoulder, is able to do an Elastico to get past Nico, and just enough as to shoot with his Kaiser impact. Though as Kaiser aims right behind the heads of Aiku and Ryu, Lorenzo comes to stop the shot with his head. Later on, we'll analyze how exactly he was able to do this. But to get back to the action, thanks to Lorenzo's insane block, the ball gets brought down near Isagi. Here, Isagi is creating his own luck thanks to Metavision, as he knew the ball would get blocked by Lorenzo, and so put himself in a position where he could easily score from if the ball rebounded there. Though before he gets to touch the ball, the 40-year-old lookalike Aiku comes from the goal box to headbutt the ball away. Though exactly where the ball got pushed back, Hiyori appears, winning his duel with Abdi to get the ball back. Though before he can do anything, Barrow comes to immediately press him. Because of the pressure from Barrow, Hiyori can't do anything, and Nico used that to his advantage, immediately stealing the ball and launching a counter-attack for Ubers. While all of this chaos is happening, we get a look at Hiyori's thought. The pure chaos and speed on the field is one similar to hell for him, but instead of being defeated by it, it rather makes his blood rush. With the final panel, we see Isagi calling Hiyori, as Hiyori has black sclera in his eyes, showing that he's moving by intuition and seems to be close to entering flow. With this, the chapter ends. Now that we've gotten an overview of the chapter, let's analyze a bit deeper the actions. We'll be looking at the two key scenes today: Kaiser's run and why I animated him this way, and how Lorenzo was able to appear out of nowhere to stop Kaiser's shot. For Kaiser's run, as you might have noticed, I animated him coming from the left while he seems to be coming from the right when he drops the pass from Ness. So let's explain this choice. As Ness says, Barrow immediately went for a press when Kaiser got the ball, and so when Ness got the ball, Kaiser had two choices: either go to the right and potentially get pressed by Barrow, or go to the left where a free space is available. Another argument is the fact that Drago is also there, so even if Kaiser had gotten past Barrow, then Drago would be waiting for him, and because we see Drago getting dribbled by Ness, it does seem that Kaiser went on the left, and so Drago could only really commit to Ness, as he was the closest there since Kunigami was being pressed by Abdi. Now that we've seen that Kaiser can realistically only go to the left, we can ask ourselves, why did he change of directions all of a sudden? The answer comes in Rico. As we see on the animation, Rico was committing to press Kaiser, and by moving this way, Kaiser could force Rico to react late. Here Kaiser did a play similar to Isagi's footwork, which consists of forcing the defender to move into that one direction, and then changing of direction as the defender's center of gravity is switching. As we see, Rico is putting all of his weight on his left leg as to move to the right and follow Kaiser's movement. But because of that leg change in his direction, Kaiser was able to nutmeg him and so get past. Now that we've established Kaiser's run, let's look at Lorenzo. How the hell did he manage to stop Kaiser's shot? The answer lies in Nico's words immediately after Kaiser got past Rico. Nico says that he will press Kaiser and asks for the defenders to cover the outside. And so let's put ourselves in Lorenzo's mind at this moment. From where Lorenzo is and the information he has, at this moment he knows multiple things. First, Nico is going to press Kaiser, and so going to help him could lead to an overlap, which may lead to a potential opening that Kaiser could use to shoot through, as after all Lorenzo is at his best when doing a pure 1v1, and we don't know his abilities on a 2v1. Secondly, the Kaiser impact is a right leg shot, which means that for Kaiser to use it, he would need to cut deeper inside. And third, Kaiser always aims for unpredictable shot courses which throw off the goalkeeper's reaction time thanks to his use of the Predator Eye. So with all this, we can guess Lorenzo's plan pretty easily. The moment Nico said that he would press Kaiser, Lorenzo immediately understood that Kaiser would try to cut and go to the right to try and shoot, with his Kaiser impact. So all he needed to do was to get outside of Kaiser's field of vision, as to be able to bait him into a shot and then guess the timing of it to stop it. Though an interesting thing is that had Kaiser scanned the field properly, instead of just looking in front of him and his peripheral vision, he might have seen Lorenzo. So here we see that MV isn't unbreakable. The skills of the user still come into play, and here because Kaiser didn't scan properly, he had a flaw into his thought process to find a short course. Though I want to highlight the insane special awareness from Lorenzo. Not only did he perfectly guess the timing of Kaiser's shot, but then was able to see the tight space between Aiko and Ryu which Kaiser would shoot through. Though right after the ball gets blocked, Isagi is on his way to get the second ball and shoot a direct shot. How exactly did he know the ball would get blocked? Well, for this we just have to look at his point of view during this play. As we see in Kaiser's point of view right before he tries to shoot, Isagi is on the left, and so if we take Isagi's POV during the moment where Kaiser is trying to set up a shot, we can see that thanks to his insanely wide field of vision, he was able to see Lorenzo behind Ryu before Kaiser shot. And so, all he needed to do was make use of his godly kinetic vision to find the spot where the ball would fall. And pretty interesting is that Isagi tried to shoot outside of the penalty box, showing that he has surely gotten better physically. And so, for Hiyori it's a similar thing. Because of his point of view, he knew that Isagi would lose his duel against Aiku and so slowed down as to be able to accelerate the moment Aiku would get near, and because of his acceleration that came from out of nowhere, he beat Abdi even though we know that Hiyori isn't the fastest of players. So with all this we've gotten out of the way onto the technical side of things, and we can get into the more narrative heavy part of the chapter. An interesting thing is that we see how Kaiser switches from Metavision to the Predator Eye to create his scoring opportunities, and that indeed the feline eyes he shows from time to time are the Predator Eye. Though if you wonder why sometimes his Predator Eye is shown when he's not on the field, then think of it as a similar thing to how Isagi sometimes has the Metavision Eye when off the field. This is basically the go-to eyes that they show when they're following their egos to a certain extent. With all that we can see that Kaiser's golden formula isn't only Metavision times Kaiser Impact as Isagi said in the main Shine match, but rather Metavision times Kaiser Impact plus the Predator Eye. One detail that I quite like is that Lorenzo also had some bruises marked on where he got hit by the Kaiser Impact, which is a pretty funny thing to add. As for Ubers, there is not much to analyze since most of it is pretty self-explanatory. And finally we can touch on Hiyori. Most of what we can expect of Hiyori has been said already in my video about him, which I highly recommend watching to understand his character and the way he might evolve. Though an interesting thing is that we're seeing him having Black Slerla, which indicates that he's going to play by intuition, and with the final panel may even be entering flow next chapter. With all that said, we can now get into the predictions. Next chapter is called Key. We can of course expect that key to be Hiyori, though the key to what exactly? It could be on defense by having Hiyori be a new Metavision user to help Isagi transcend the designs created by the Ubers at the moment, the same way that he used Raichi to defend against Snuffy. So next chapter I expect Ubers to create a plan that Isagi won't be able to stop by himself, maybe by having Aiku block Isagi at the last moment like he always does, but this time Hiyori is able to make the last interception, using Isagi to hide and so come to defend at the last moment as his shadow. I also expect us to see his Metavision design and hopefully aura. The two ideas I have in mind would be guns, maybe a sniper, and a crosshair for his Metavision eye design. Or maybe something like Tetris blocks, but those are far-fetched ideas, though I still expect something related to his aura. And with all that said, the video is finished. I hope you enjoyed it and be ready for next video where we'll be calculating the speed of the Kaiser Impact as to know how hard did Lorenzo get hit in the face. You can also join the Discord server if you want to discuss more in-depth Blue Lock, and it'll be a pleasure to have you there. With all that said, have a great one, fellow egoists.